If you've recently had a baby and you're experiencing things like difficulty emptying your bladder, pain when you insert a tampon or during intimacy, feeling like you need to use the bathroom just after you've been, or pelvic pain anywhere from the dimples in your lower back right around to the front of your pelvis, you might have a hypertonic pelvic floor. This is where the pelvic floor muscles become tight due to being in a state of constant contraction. This often happens as a result of incorrect activation. So let's take the Kegel for example. This is one of the first exercises you were probably told to do after having a baby. It focuses heavily on the squeezing and lifting of your pelvic floor muscles, but focusing solely on squeezing and lifting without completely relaxing between each contraction is something that can actually lead to the pelvic floor becoming overactive and extremely tight. To relieve a tight pelvic floor, you need to do two things. The first is you need to learn how to relax your pelvic floor muscles, and then you need to also stretch the muscles, the tendons, and the joints around the spine, the pelvis, and hips to ensure optimal pelvic mobility. I'm going to teach you how to do both now, starting with the best way to relax your pelvic floor, which is using diaphragmatic breathing. This breathing technique uses the diaphragm to help relax the pelvic floor and is best used in conjunction with visualization. Let's have a go. Make your way down onto the floor, lying on your back with your knees bent and heels resting on a chair. Place your hands on your tummy below the belly button. Take a normal breath in through the nose, directing it towards your hands, and then exhale gently out through the mouth. On the next inhale, focus on the pelvic floor muscles lengthening from the pubic bone to the tailbone as the sit bones widen. Feel the pelvic floor muscles lift as you exhale, but don't actively contract them. Just feel them re-engage. Perfect. Now keep going and focus on every inhale breath, releasing and lengthening the pelvic floor for about 5 to 10 minutes a day. You can also help to relax your pelvic floor muscles using massage. The next technique involves using either a tennis ball or a massage ball to lightly massage the pelvic floor muscles externally. To do this, start in a sitting position. Lift one bottom cheek and find the bony prominence in your buttock. This is known as your sits bone. Then place the ball between your sits bone and your anus. You can rock forward and backward until you find a sore point. Once you find a sore spot, stay in that position and let your body weight just relax into the ball for about 30 seconds to a minute. It should feel like moderate pressure, but not a sharp stabbing sensation. While there, start doing diaphragmatic breathing, and on every exhale, just let your body weight sink heavier into the ball. Repeat on the other side, and repeat it about 2 to 3 times per week, ensuring you have at least one day off in between just to give the tissue some time to heal between the massages. The next step is to do the following stretches. These stretches will release your pelvic floor muscles, but also the surrounding muscles, tendons, and joints around the pelvis. Before we get into what these stretches are, it's important to note that if you don't engage your pelvic floor muscles correctly during common movements and activities, these stretches will be less effective and your pelvic floor may remain overactive. I've created a guide that explains what these movements and activities are and how you can just tweak them to avoid overworking your pelvic floor muscles. You can find the link in the guide in the description below if you'd like to check it out. Okay, now let's talk about those stretches. The first stretch is called a pelvic rock back with one leg extended out to the side. This stretch helps to lengthen the adductor muscles which attach to the pubic bone at the front of the pelvis. These muscles can become tight, putting extra tension through the pelvic floor. To do this stretch, get down on your hands and knees and extend one leg out to the side. Press back through the hands as you shift your weight backwards without curving your spine until you feel a stretch down your inner thigh, and then return back to the starting position. Repeat 10 repetitions on each leg. The next stretch is the extended child pose, and it helps create mobility in the hips and the pelvic floor muscles, and it's also a great position to focus on that diaphragmatic breathing. To do this, again, make your way down onto your hands and knees. Take your knees out wider than your hips and come down onto your forearms, leaving your bottom in the air. Hold this position for about 1 minute, focusing on breathing into the belly and the rib cage and then exhaling out through the pelvic bowl. as the pelvic floor lengthens and releases. Another great stretch that opens and mobilizes the hips is the figure 4 stretch. This stretch also releases the glute muscles, which share connections with the pelvic floor and also help to take the load off the pelvic floor. To do this stretch on your back, cross your right heel on your left knee. Clasp your hands behind the right knee as you draw it towards your chest until you feel a comfortable stretch in the right bottom cheek. Hold for about 1 minute and repeat this 3 times on each side. Next is the lower back twist, which helps create mobility in the lower back and hips, taking tension again away from the pelvic floor. To do this, start by lying on your back with your right arm extended out beside you. Draw your right knee up and over to the left side. Take your gaze to your right palm as you hold for 8 breaths. Change sides and make sure you repeat it 3 times on each side. The techniques I have gone through with you today are a great way to start releasing the pelvic floor. But I do want to stress, pelvic floor dysfunction symptoms are multifactorial. These exercises are completely safe, but remember, if you have ongoing issues such as wetting yourself, painful sex, or chronic pain in the pelvis, make sure you book in with a women's health physiotherapist. Exercising the pelvic floor without stretching the back, the hips, and surrounding muscles can contribute to tightness in the pelvic floor muscles. It's important to have an appropriate cool down routine to help prevent this tightness. Make sure you watch this video next, which includes stretches to release your neck, back, and hips, as well as your pelvic floor. This ensures optimal pelvic mobility, which is what you need for a strong pelvic floor.